Hello, Science 14 class. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about our Chapter 9 study guide to help you get ready for our Chapter 9 quiz and then hopefully for the unit test. Again, when we see it right here, we're going to be giving out some labels and titles, and we're going to start right away with key terms. However, first things first, take a look at our textbook and how and where we need to study and how to focus ourselves. So we jump to our textbook. Here we see right away, Chapter 9, Life Functions. This one, just like Chapter 8, has quite a lot of terms and definitions. So as we scroll through it, you'll see there's lots of different things about plants and how do living things keep alive. So I'm going to go real quick, scroll all the way down to the bottom. And as I was kind of looking through it, I put together kind of how we're going to chunk some of this information. Essentially, it comes back to, okay, making sure I can actually break it up into kind of chapters 9.1, 9.2, 9.3, and we have those key terms. So right here, these first key terms are all with life functions, and they kind of break it up right there. Next one, we have photosynthesis, cellular respiration, and glucose is kind of that next part where we're talking about how do we get all this energy. Let's change color again. And then we have organ systems, and we have all these definitions to go with it. Make sure to highlight it all there. And then finally, we have the last ones where we're talking about medical technologies. And we had blood pressure cuffs and some of these key terms and everything else. You can see we have four main chunks to this chapter. I'm going to focus a little bit on each one, kind of looking for some of the tips and so ways we can actually create a solid study guide before we actually get going on it all. So when I jump back here, that first one was life functions. As you saw, life functions was there and it had a few key definitions like hibernation and torpor. So hibernation we know is what bears do. Torpor is what snails will do during the heat of the day. So they'll do kind of the opposite of hibernation, not when it's cold they sleep, but when it's really hot. And snails need to conserve moisture. They go through something called torpor. However, I want to add right here for our life functions that aren't in the definitions are these 7 points. And so when we have life functions, you need to be writing down these seven, and we need to be familiar with these 7 points. And I want to add this because there's going to be questions about it. And okay, when we looked at those pictures from before, which one is responsible for transportation? Okay, which one is how do we get food, nutrition? What is it with growth and repair? And so if we went back through to the textbook, all the way back at the top where I got these notes from, we have different images. And through these images, which one is representing the life functions? And so you see a Venus flytrap getting a fly. Well, I could see that as nutrition and obtaining food. Okay. This horse, and you see a little horse getting mother's milk. Same thing, nutrition. Okay. What about this spider making a spider web? Well, what are they doing? Is it for nutrition or is it doing something else? Are they moving around or are they synthesizing something else and they create something that they need? A lot of these images will have multiple life functions depending how you see it. As long as you can kind of go through and understand how these life functions are represented in some of these photographs. Perfect. So there's the first part. Oh, there we see our bears going through hibernation and our snails through torpor. There is the first part of our chapter 9. Next, we're going to jump into photosynthesis and cellular respiration. Hopefully, we remember what photosynthesis is, and we've heard this word before because we need to know what comes into our system, and we're going to see that right here. We'll have our circle right here. Here it comes into our system. We have energy coming in. We have carbon dioxide coming in. And we have water coming in. Now, what we have coming out is a little bit different. We have glucose coming out and oxygen coming out. We have to know that main formula that we see below. Okay, we have to be able to understand and we have to know what exactly is going on in this main process. And tied in with that is cellular respiration. We have to know that cellular respiration, and when I put that out here, is the exact opposite. Respiration is the exact opposite of photosynthesis. So this is what we will do. And so humans will take in oxygen. This will be the in for our person right here. We will take in glucose, and then out comes water. Like when we breathe, we have it on our breath, right? Out comes CO2 from our lungs, and then we also get the energy to do things. And so they are a cycle. And from there, these two come back into this system, and the energy is recycled. Energy. Okay? And the energy we use for our own needs. And we need a new spot. We have to have energy coming in. As you can see, photosynthesis is more than just definition. It's more than just writing down these formulas. It's understanding the idea of how they work in a cycle and what is actually happening with this energy transfer. So when you're going through your notes, please make sure you're copying down a picture and just have a simple flower and a person. And how do these two things, how do these two ideas actually work together? From cellular respiration, we move on to organ systems. And I'm going to snapshot just on the heart. But as we can see when I scroll down to organ systems, we have several that we need to go through. And as we go through, you'll need to talk about the digestive system and know some of the parts. If you want to draw it out or have a simple picture to help label the parts, perfect. The nervous system we will also need to be familiar with. The circulatory system and flow of the heart. I'll talk more about it. We have the urinary system, the kidneys working with it, and then we go into a little bit more detail on the digestive and circulatory systems and how they all work together. So there's lots of details on these organ systems and how these systems work together to create a larger organism to thrive and stay alive. So in your notes, give it a quick summary. Here, I just want to focus on the heart and the 4 stages and how do we move blood around. Well, for this, I have kind of the simple way of talking about it. First stage, blood comes in from the body. Perfect. There it is. Real simple, summarized point when I went back through my notes. Okay. When you're doing this on your own, please try to do this because it helps to summarize it and not just write it out word for word. 2, blood goes out to lungs. That is the second part. And you can see as I follow and track it through, I'll do it here. I'm going to use blue to start because blue shows low oxygen flow. So there is part 1. And if you have a picture of a heart, it comes through. Step 2, you can see it is actually leaving the heart and it's low oxygen. Okay. Step 3, this is where it comes back from the lungs. Blood comes in from the lungs now, full of oxygen, and it will show it as red. And then the fourth stage, blood goes out to the body. And then it just repeats. And after it goes out to the body, blood comes back in from the body because we're trying to circulate oxygen and food to our entire body. So I'll grab my red pen now, and as you can see, comes back in right here as step 3, and then it hooks around and it goes back out through this main one as step 4. And then it goes out to the body and then it comes back in with low oxygen. Red is usually shown with high oxygen, blue is shown with low oxygen. Please make sure we're drawing these pictures out for the main things like the digestive systems, because that's the big one, and then be familiar with the urinary systems and how the kidneys function with it, the nervous system as well. Finally, I know there's lots to go through here, and we saw that with all those terms. There's lots of terms and stuff to talk about. This one is the medical technologies, and make sure you're familiar with what they are. Like an X-ray. If you know what an X-ray is and you've had an X-ray before, perfect. Draw on that knowledge. However, if you've never heard of an EEG or an ECG, please make sure to take the time to write them out. And this one could be just straight up X-ray. What is it used for? Right? EEG. What is it? If you've never heard of it before, well, maybe you write out the full name. I won't try it right now because I know it's really long and it needs spelling properly. But what we'll see here, an EEG, and doctors use the EEG to study brain waves. Okay, here is an EKG, and we can study the heart's beat, right? And what they're used for. Here we can see there's an endoscope, and what does it actually do? Okay. So be familiar with some of these medical technologies that help monitor and how to keep us alive. After that, after we've gotten these main definitions, please make sure if you can practice through some of these questions. Please make sure to go through biology assignment A. We should be able to finish all of those. Practice, 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 and hopefully we'll be able to start the quiz tomorrow or on Monday. It will also be open and you'll have no problems completing it successfully. As always, if you have any questions, please send me an email and I'll help you the best I can. Take care for now.